Hereditary is a new film from first-time director Ari Aster and from A24, who have made some great movies such as The Village, Under the Skin, Moonlight, Ladybird, too many to name. But this is a new film that has been getting a lot of buzz out of various festivals from earlier this year. So going into this film, I took it with a grain of salt because in previous scenarios we've seen this kind of thing before and usually it does not live up to the hype. But in this case, it did. The movie is very well done with excellent performances, the standout being Toni Collette. She has such a great range from subtlety to she can express her sadness in such great ways, and she really gives it her all. And I'd be really ticked off if she did not get some kind of recognition from the Academy. And the direction from Ari Aster, his first feature debut, is also very well done. He seems so experienced at his craft with such swift camera work. And he's so experienced, it just blew me away. In the same way that Jordan Peele did with Get Out. The cinematography is also really well done. While subtle, it utilizes brilliant framing with objects in the foreground that kind of just make it look better. With the subtlety of the scares and the imagery, there's no jump scares, and that kind of lends itself to the cinematography. And also, it utilizes a very interesting color palette. I also loved the score, which utilizes the sound design, but it also added an eeriness and intensity to the scenarios present throughout the movie. And speaking of the sound design, I found it just so surreal, very enthralling, and really intensifies the scenes. I also loved the imagery. It was very disturbing, but very well done with subtle scares. Like I said earlier, there will be wide shots that go on for 10, 15 seconds, and you'll just see something in the corner. And that's enough to scare you. You don't need a jump scare, which this movie has none of those, which I really appreciate. The story is also brilliant. It's somewhat familiar in its premise, but it executes it so well and has such a great character study. It's really good, and the themes and their subtlety are also very good. I also love the ending as well, but that is obviously going into spoilers, so we will not get into that. But it really ties the whole movie together and makes previous events throughout the movie seem important, because at the time they seem kind of like one-off things, but then in the end everything comes around in a way that's very satisfying. My only issue with the movie is just a few scenes that involve flies. They're very obviously fake, like laid over the camera in post, and it's kind of ridiculous watching the actors swat at the air, and I just didn't find it all that realistic or convincing, but that's just a nitpick of mine. But also when I went to the theater, I encountered some rude moviegoers. So to my right, there was a couple who I believe was either drunk or high, or both. And throughout the movie, they were talking. And there's this one scene where Toni Collette's character Annie says something to Alex Wolff's character Peter, and the guy to my right goes, "Oh my God!" at that tone, and then somebody behind me goes, "Oh!" and I was just shaking my head. And there was also this couple to my left who just kept talking to each other after every single scene and giving it a thumbs sideways, thumbs up, thumbs down, and kept sticking their arms out and blocking it. It was just really just disheartening to see. This is one of my few experiences with really rude moviegoers, and it's kind of disappointing, especially at a movie like this where it's not as mainstream, so you'd expect maybe some more gathered and more cinephile type people, but no. But anyways, A24 once again hits it out of the park with Hereditary. A haunting performance from Toni Collette, and great performances from everybody else as well, is all brilliant. The direction from Ari Aster is so well done, and he seems so experienced behind the camera. The score is intense and eerie, that utilizes the amazing sound design, and the cinematography with its use of colors and framing is also very well done. I would definitely seek this out, and be warned, there will be imagery that will stick with you long after the credits roll. This film gets a 5 out of 5 and a 9.7 out of 10.
Okay.